As I mentioned in an earlier video, one of the things you need to do when you're planting a garden is just sit and look at it and decide what it needs. I don't always do that. Sometimes I buy something and then decide where I want to put it. And really, since this garden is pretty open, I can still do that. I have planted these two new azaleas. These are encore azaleas, which are really the best kind to buy because regular azaleas just bloom once and they're very showy and pretty for 2 or 3 weeks, but then that's it. With these encore azaleas, they will bloom multiple times a year, usually at least 3 times a year. Plus they're evergreen, so in the winter it's not just a bunch of sticks there, it's actually a little green bush. So I like those encore azaleas. This morning I have been spraying some weeds. It's about to rain, but I have some Spectracide, which is, it's got a new sprayer that is got batteries in it. And it's so easy to spray the weeds with it. But most sprayers, if you spray them and then it rains, the spray is ruined. But this says that it attaches to the plant within 15 minutes and rain will not hurt it. So I did some spraying. It's dangerous in the spring to spray. You've got lots of clover blooming, at least I do. But it's dangerous in the spring because a lot of the little plants that I planted, I don't know for sure what they look like when they come up in the spring because I had never planted them. I'm going to give you an example of this. In this very shady part of the garden, I planted a lot of bulbs that are called anemone or windflower. And I planted various varieties because I wanted them to be blooming all the time. And I also planted these daffodils on top of them. I marked their spots with popsicle sticks. But the problem was one day I came out here and I planted a bunch and I came back and half the popsicle sticks were gone. So I don't know what critter it was that's building a nest out of popsicle sticks. But anyway, I lost my popsicle sticks that way, so that didn't work. I've got these little baby purple flowers here, which are muscadine. But I didn't plant those this time. This is left over from my previous garden. But I did notice when I was spraying weeds, this little guy. And I almost sprayed it. But it's one of my flowers, my little windflowers. One of the early bloomers. And I guess I have killed another one that I saw, if I can only find it again, by spraying it. So that is a problem. But this time of year, this is covered in clover. Now here are a bunch of flowers that I do know. These have got to be some of the flowers I planted. I don't know if you can see them on this video, but can you see the different, looks like little pointed leaves up there? Those have got to be something I planted because they're too uniform to be weeds. You wouldn't have that many of the same kind of weeds in one section. So I've got a lot of work to do this week. It's spring break for me, so I do have some time this week to do some work. My granddaughter was here the other day, and I paid her to pick up the sticks, but evidently we've had a whole bunch more fall, or she didn't get very many. I also, this morning when I was spraying, I almost sprayed 2 peonies that I planted last time. I just noticed that they were coming up. I think I did spray this one here. I'm referring to this plant right here because if you'll look right here, here's definitely another peony coming up. So I almost killed those that I had just planted. Now, I bought a couple of more roses. I just love roses. They're so, people say roses are hard, but I get these double knockout roses. And I get them in the early spring in, they're not in pots. They're with their roots in plastic. And they're so inexpensive. They're about 1/3 of what they will be in a month with their with the plant just in a plastic pot, which I throw away. So these are relatively inexpensive, and I have such luck with them. They bloom all spring, summer, and into the fall. You do need to, with roses, you do need to be sure and feed them because they need a lot of food. So anyway, here's the garden just in the very first weeks of spring with my new path, my new architectural features, my benches, my planters that my sweet husband, made for me. The stumps that we cleared now have pots on them ready to fill. Some of them have been filled. And hopefully I'm going to get a hold of this gopher, mole, and especially those darned old voles out of this garden for a while and send them someplace else.